Episode 4047, Guard Your Bandwidth.
Moms, it's time to rediscover, rejuvenate, and renew who you are in mind, body, and spirit. Welcome to Create Your Now, Your Best Selfie, the show to help you do just that. Here's your host, certified life coach, personal trainer, and nutritionist, Christiane Wargo.
Happy day. Do you know what today is? Oh yeah, it's home day. Yes, it is. Can you believe it's midweek? And that means it's all about Wellspring, holistic living for you, walking the way God wants you to walk in your everyday. But first, you got to guard your bandwidth. For those of you who are brand new to Create Your Now, welcome to this incredible family. I'm so delighted of your presence. If you already had the opportunity, you want to head on over to createyournow.com where you can learn more and sign up for the Kisses newsletter, the Keep It Simple strategy, everyday solutions to live, love, and impact. Well, this episode is brought to you by AIM, inspiring connection and community. Well, I really do hope that you're having a marvelous week. Let me tell you, we have had some not so great storms around here, and there'll be more stories that will come on that here pretty soon. We've had to deal with it personally, and it's not real fun, but in all honesty, I'm just tired, quite frankly. Everybody's safe, so I'll leave it at that. But sometimes your life, right? Storms come at you, and we don't know what to do with them. Sometimes we have to fight them head on. Sometimes we have to sit quietly with them and wait for God to move. And sometimes it's just life. You can't change it. You can't control it, but you're going to go through it and you're going to figure it out and you're going to get to the other side. But with all of it, have you ever stopped to really consider how far your energy and impact can actually stretch throughout your life? I mean, if you have storm after storm, lemon after lemon, curveball after curveball, at what point do you say, I'm done? Like, check me in somewhere because I can't do any more of this. I'm finished. Well, most of us live fragmented days, snatching moments here and there, giving up, bits and pieces of ourselves without this clear sense of whole, being whole, living holistically in the meaning of who you are and who you are becoming. And that's everything. That's not compartmentalizing your life. It's saying, you know what? I'm married, but when I go to work, well, I'm still married. Yep, that still happens, right? If you have 3 kids and you go to work, you're married and you still have 3 kids. Like, you just can't get rid of them. But a lot of times we're told, oh no, to deal with things, you've got to leave your trash at the door, or you just have to forget about it and then take care of it when you come back. Quite frankly, it doesn't work that way. And that's why we're all mumble jumbled in our mind. We're juggling too much. Our lives in itself are chaotic. We're running the hamster wheel. We're on the roller coaster of life, and it's not very fun. And that's where the result is we end up drained, stretched too thin, and truly ineffective where it matters most. In your life, the people that you love, the world that you impact. So it's about time you guard your bandwidth. Because if you're not intentional about guarding your bandwidth, you're going to find yourself giving away more than you actually have to offer. You've done that before, haven't you? I know you have, because you're a giver. And that's fabulous. My mom, which if you're new with us, you haven't heard this story, so it'll be new to you. But if you've been with me for a while, you've probably heard this story. But a few good, has it already been 9 months maybe? We'll just say July. It seems like forever ago. But July of 2025, my mom broke her foot and she came to live with us to rehabilitate. And it was wonderful. It was a great time for her and I. And we just, bonded even more, as your mom gets older. And if you have your mom, reach out to her. Tell her you love her. I know Mother's Day is around the corner, but don't wait till a day to tell her. Tell her every day. I'm just saying. But anyway, we'll leave that for another episode. But seriously, we had this time and, you think you can do everything and you've got it. But, when she got hurt and she's, of course, getting up there in age, obviously we're all aging. I am too. Pretty soon I'll be up there too. She's already told me, she said, sweetheart, you cannot pass me. I said, but it feels like I can. You're just going to stay there and I'm going to surpass you, but you're still going to be here. Yeah, it doesn't work that way. And I'm like, I know, I get it. But anyway, going back to the original story here, I told her, I said, this is a time in your life that you can't be helpful. I want you to be rude. Like, don't be the helper that you've always been. And I think as we get older, we think we get wiser, but we forget that we're getting older. And yes, we're wiser. So our decisions have to be reflected depending upon what we're looking at. In her case, she was moving a trash can and this huge barbecue smoker fell on her ankle foot, broke it in 3 places. It was horrible, absolutely horrible. It was a long recovery, but we got her to the other side. And I share this with you because I think we all have this thing in our mind that we're invincible. Not that we're going to live forever, but that we can do everything forever. Right? And if you're a mom, you know that. It's a superhero cape. You're Wonder Woman. You're like, yes, I got this. And some days you do, and you're spot on. But other days you drowned. And quite frankly, okay, guys, you got to listen up here. Your woman, if you got a woman on your arm, I'm telling you right now, you better acknowledge her because she's doing stuff that you have no idea what she's doing. And if she sat there and told you what she did, you'd be like, that's not really what your day's like. Like, my day's not like that. It's not about comparison. It's just the way we're wired as human beings, as female, male, as mother, father, right? And if you're like, well, I'm not married, Christiane, that's fine. You can be the sister, the daughter, right? You don't have to have a spouse to understand what we're talking about here. But the thing is that if you want to make this real difference, and I know you do, you got to show up fully in your relationships. You got to show up fully in work. When you're going for those dreams that you really want, you must not only just dial up your reach, but also fiercely protect your capacity. What do you have to give? I feel like we need to turn on the radio a little bit and understand our bandwidth. How much? Because if we're getting older, we're getting wiser, and we think we can do everything forever, we cannot. And something has to give. I think back to my kiddos. When they were young, I wanted them to try everything. I wanted them to have, a touch of this, a taste of this, because I wanted them to experience it and then make the decisions. And so I put them in all different types of activities, from gymnastics to dance. Yes, even the boys went to dance. Music to choir to theater to, oh my goodness, all different sports, from football to volleyball to soccer. You name it. Baseball, softball. We were there, cheerleading, dance. We were all over the place. And then they came of age, which really for us was later middle school into high school. And I said, okay, time to pick two per season. One you can have for like the entire year. And usually there was at least one activity that they were in for basically a whole year, 12 months, or a good 9 to 10 months out of the year. That was great, no big deal. And then you could add one more. And depending upon if there was another one, maybe we could sneak one in, depending on how the commitment was at school versus at home, etc. I knew they had to make some choices and hard decisions, because as they were getting older, they were going to be expected to do more work at school, expected to grow personally, right, as in who they are, as a tween into a teen, and they just weren't going to have the capacity to do that. They didn't have the bandwidth. And so when you consider your lifestyle as a complete system, not just these isolated pockets of activity, you start to recognize where your energy truly flows from and where it is wasted. Your capacity to give and impact others hinges on your patience and compassion. And these resources, they are not unlimited. They aren't. They get depleted with distractions, overcommitments, the busyness. I got to keep doing to keep up with the Joneses. The emotional drain, the psychological drain, it's exhausting. And sometimes it's frustrating. And then you find yourself sitting down for 2.5 minutes and you feel guilty for sitting down, not because you're driving someone somewhere, it's you're actually sitting down on the couch. And if somebody walks in, you're immediately about to say, I was just, and you're like, why do I even have to defend why I'm sitting down to take 2 breaths? Because I've been running all day. But we do it. Guard your bandwidth. That is your kiss to keep it simple strategy. Because if you don't, somebody else is going to. And they're going to stretch you. They're going to use you. And they're going to try to squeeze every ounce of what you have to give. And then pretty soon it's going to catch up with you. Maybe you'll have a health incident that wasn't really great because you didn't say no to 3 things. You pushed yourself to the limits. Maybe you have this huge argument that takes a lot of healing afterwards because you were just pushed too far. My friend, guarding your bandwidth means knowing what you bring to the table and fiercely maintaining it. You do not have to be Wonder Woman. You do not have to wear the hero's cape for everyone forever. Let God carry that cape. It's not your job. But too often we try. We try to fill the gaps. We try to fill the holes with, oh, I got this. You may have it, but you can't do it by yourself. So don't spread yourself too thin. Be careful. Because what happens is, you don't want to go down that road. I've spent my time burning the candle at both ends. And quite frankly, it's beyond exhausting. And I think for me, a candle, you know how they have those 3 wicks and 5 wick candles? Yeah, okay. So imagine that, but I've got like 6 or 7 wicks on one side and then the opposite, same thing. Literally, I'm melting. And I get through it. I push through it. I get to the end. But guess what? At the other side of whatever I'm trying to push through, usually it's like I'm exhausted and I'm gone for like 2 days, meaning I just can't focus. I need to sleep or rest. I, get sick a little bit, whatever it is. It's because I'm going. And where does that really get us? Because we're just spinning our wheels all the time for what? If you don't have a guardrail to help you guard your bandwidth, your patience erodes, your compassion fades, and your impact shrinks. And let me tell you, you were created on purpose for a purpose. You have a heavenly purpose and an earthly purpose, and God wants you to step into that. And when we're here kind of midweek, that's what we did some changes to it, right? We used to really focus on healthy living. And I'm like, you know what? There's a lot of things changing out there. But honestly, there's a lot of things that are the same. They're changing, but they're just said differently. And I thought, I want to go deeper. I want to peel back the layers even more. I mean, God has been challenging me personally. And I bring it to the table. I don't sit here and hide behind things. It's not easy living the life that's before us. No one has it easy. Now, if you look side to side, at times it may appear that they do. I know I've looked side to side just as of yesterday. I talked myself off the cliff. It was fine. Comparison didn't take over, but I had a momentary lapse. This happens. It's called real life. But that's why you have to guard your bandwidth. That's why you have to know who you are becoming, and let God be the hero in your story, not you. Too often we try to make ourselves that, and not necessarily on purpose. We're just trying to do the do because we know we can. We can get to the other side like no one else can. I know, been there, done that. And actually sometimes doing that, just as of yesterday. So guard your bandwidth. What does it look like in real life? Well, number 1, set clear boundaries. Makes sense, right? If you're going to guard it, you've got a guardrail. You've got to have boundaries. When you know what matters most, you must say no to what does not. And you've got to be fierce with that no. Not mean. I'm not saying come at the person, but say like, okay, I'm going to say no. Thank you so much for the opportunity. This is not my season. Thank you, but I can't do it. There's nothing wrong with that. You're owning it. You're not putting it on them. You're not making up an excuse. You're telling the truth, right? And this doesn't mean, saying no to big things, right? You don't have to say no to all the big things, but you got to be careful because big things are great, but you can have small things too that your energy is zapped. So be cautious of that too. Those little things like constant notifications, the ping, the pong, the dong, all of them. You're like, change it. Turn them off. Last minute favors. Would you do me a favor? If somebody's approaching you with, will you do me a favor? maybe you need to think about, what are they really asking you? It's one thing if it's a neighbor coming over and say, hey, I've got this. I'm going to be gone for a couple of days. Could you get my mail? Sure, great, no big deal. But if all of a sudden you're committing to something like cleaning a house and watching dogs and having kids over and all of this, and you're booked out for 3 days doing it, I'm not saying not to do it, but I'm saying look at where you are. Maybe you can't do all of it, but you can do some of it. Be careful. Set your agenda and your schedule accordingly. Your bandwidth is your most valuable asset. No one can live it but you. No one knows it but you. So treat it like the precious resource it is and curate where and how you spend it. It was funny. I don't know how many years ago this was. I think at the time we were living in, I think it was Nebraska, honestly. And I don't know what I was doing, but I was involved in a lot of things: community, church, school. I homeschooled my 5 kids at the time. I was a busy beaver, and I had a baby then. I mean, he was 9 months to a year old. And I can remember a gal came up to me, and I think it was at church, and she said, Christiane, I do not know how you do it. Where do you have the energy, number one? If you could bottle it up, you would make billions. I said, well, don't know the chemistry, conglomeration as to what it looks like. So I don't know that I can bottle it up, but I said, I just do it. And then she said, but where's all your time? And I said, oh, I got it on clearance at Walmart. No one wants to buy it. And she just laughed. And I thought, you know what? I think that's kind of how we live our life. We want to go and we want to have as much time as we want, but we don't want to spend the full price for it. We don't want to be all in. We want to live good, but we don't want to live well. But God calls us to excellence. God calls us to rise up, to be who He is creating you to become. And that takes work. And that means you have to have that bandwidth to do what He wants to do in you and through you. So you can't just go to Walmart, and no, they're not a sponsor of this episode. Maybe they should be. But you can't go to Walmart and buy time on clearance because no one else is. You've got to decide for yourself what it looks like and schedule accordingly. So set those clear boundaries. Number 2, prioritize rest and recalibration. Oh, I need this so much. But guess what? I don't have time for it. No, actually, I have been really good. Lately, over the last month and a half or so, I have been very diligent of listening to my body. I cannot stress to you that enough. You need to do the same. If you are exhausted, don't push yourself because energy isn't inexhaustible. Okay. And you're like, what? What powers your bandwidth is rest. So if you are one who says, okay, I've got a lot on my plate. Okay, that's fine. But you've got to figure out how to make sure that you're steady Eddie. So you've got great rest, mental clarity, and emotional decompression. You need to be able to release things. Schedule that downtime. Like it's a meeting with a high stakes client or something, right? Or maybe it's with the King of England. Okay. They were over here visiting or are over here currently in the United States visiting. Maybe you need to think that they're going to come to your door, right? What is it? I mean, because whoever you look up to, I mean, I don't know, maybe it's a famous singer or a songwriter or it's a sports person. I mean, Tom Brady, if you're into football, right? I mean, if Tom Brady, I know he's retired, but he's still, right? Everybody would call him a goat. That still sounds weird to me. I don't know why we call them goats, but being that he is who he is, and if you were really interested, if he came and called you up or texted you and said, you know what? I just thought I wanted to reach out and meet you. Are you available? You would drop everything. But just dropping everything doesn't mean that you would have the energy and the bandwidth to put in to the conversation and to be present accordingly. So schedule the downtime like it's a meeting. Guard it. Guard your time fiercely. Sleep, Move your body, unplug, and do what refills you instead of drains you. I've been planting a lot lately. Whew. Let me tell you, it's hard work, but it's also great work. There's nothing like getting your hands in the earth that God created. There's so much therapy in it. It's planting therapy. I love it. It's plant therapy. It's fabulous. I would encourage you to do it this spring into summer. But prioritize that rest, and that will then allow you to help to recalibrate, right? You need that rejuvenation in your body, because if not, you're not going to get it from anything else. And stay hydrated, okay? Most of the time we're walking around dehydrated. Drink your water. You want to be drinking as much water as you can. Aim for a gallon. I kid you not. And you're like, Christiane, I barely drink 16 ounces. Then start aiming for 32 ounces and then go for a gallon, but not all on the same day. Give yourself a few weeks. Ramp up slowly. But I'm telling you, that's going to help you also. And then finally, number 3, focus on high impact actions. You got to be aware of busy work. We all do it. Because busy work masks itself as productivity. It's like, oh, I've got this, and this. I can remember, it feels like ancient years ago, but when the kids were little and, you'd be out and about, you'd go shopping or whatever, that someone would see you around, because that was when you weren't online all the time. You still ordered some things, but shopping was still a thing, like physically going to the store. Not that it isn't now, but you know what I mean. And they would say, hey, how are you? It's so good to see you. And the first thing out of their mouth or your mouth is, I'm so busy. And then you would lead in with and finish it off with, oh, well, the excuses of whatever. There's nothing wrong with that, but it was almost as if we wanted that badge of honor that says, look how busy I am. I just don't even have time. Really? What if that was your best friend? Oh, girl, I've been meaning to call you. I just have been so busy. Are you just saying that so you can pretend to wear the hero's cape? Be cautious. Focus on the tasks. Focus on the relationships and the commitments that actually move the needle forward in your life and your work. Because life is work. And if you want to do it God's way, let me tell you, your everyday will be much better. And so if you are given and blessed with tomorrow, meaning it now becomes your today, because really we're not ever in tomorrow, are we? I know, so confusing. Let's keep with it though. We got this. We're going to get to the end, I promise. But we don't ever hit tomorrow, because tomorrow becomes today. And so if you're blessed to wake up with new mercies tomorrow and it becomes your today, then be grateful. Know that yes, it's going to be hard work. But learn to recognize when you're scattering your energy across too many directions. Know when enough is enough. Concentrate on fewer things and then do them well. Don't do things and a lot of things just to be busy, to act like you're doing something. And I'm not saying you're not doing anything, okay? I know, I've been there. I've been like, whoo, how many things? And part of it's because we just have a large family. So I volunteer with each child doing something. I'm like, oh my goodness, how much more? And some of them would overlap with others. Sometimes I would have the girls and a boy, doing dance, or I would have all of them in gymnastics. It just depended on their ages and where they were. But not all of them overlapped. And so therefore, if one's playing on the soccer team and one's playing on the football team, I've got to volunteer at both areas. Got to put in your, the work. It's okay. But you also have to know that, okay, wait, when is enough enough? And it's so important. When you look at your life, what really matters to you? What speaks to your heart? And not just something that, makes you feel warm. I was talking to my husband, and we were actually talking, the three of us, my mom, my husband, and myself. And he goes, Mom, I just don't understand. He goes, I love my kids, but there's something about having grandbabies. He said, did you really feel this way when, you had grandbabies? Of course, we have 5 of hers. So hopefully the answer is, oh, yes, I felt that way. And basically it was. But he goes, I don't know what it is. He goes, how can you love more? And I said, it's because it's an extension of the child that you loved. And I said, now you're loving deeper. You're loving them more. And you get to love your grandbabies even more. Your heart continues to grow. But if we just keep filling up our lives with stuff, whether it's materialistic stuff, whether it's reels, whether it's binge watching things, it could even be reading books. It could be, honestly, anything can get in the way, right? You might be a runner. You running your miles every day, I'm not telling you to not run, but don't let that be an excuse not to be tuned into what matters. Because a lot of times we're missing what's right in front of us. And that's what's important. When you tune into what truly matters in your life, guarding your bandwidth becomes your non-negotiable. Like, yeah, I got to watch it. Because you don't want to fall prey to the trap of being everywhere and nowhere at once. How can you even do that? It's like, what? How can I be everywhere but nowhere? But that's how we live. To get that badge of honor that I'm busy, to wear the hero's cap, to put on the cape and say, you know what? Ha, look at me. I'm saying take it all off. Take off the cape. Give the cap to God and say, Lord, you take it. You help me. I want my energy to be fueling meaningful impact, allowing me to stretch my patience, fueling my compassion, and expanding my reach in sustainable ways. I don't want to live a life that's more like make-believe. That's where you go to amusement parks for. That's why you read fiction. There's nothing wrong with that. But know what it's like to live your now, to create your now. And when you guard your bandwidth, you're opening yourself up to what God has in store for you, which I guarantee you is much greater than anything you can ever imagine. So don't throw in the towel and don't try to get your badge. It's not about Girl Scouts anymore or brownies back in the day, right? And you'd have to work for those, and even Boy Scouts, you had to work for those badges. Moms, dads, stop. Women of impact. You've got to step up. You've got to rise up and say, you know what? It's not about the badge anymore. It's about the heart. Who am I connecting to? Whose am I? Pulling back those layers and growing deeper so you can impact the world that you touch. Go in peace. Be present. Be incredible. Be you. I love you so very much. I cannot wait to see you on the other side. Blessings, hugs, and lots of love. We'll talk to you real soon. Have a glorious, blessed day. Bye-bye.
Feeling inspired, ready to train for life, and love your journey? Visit createyournow.com for more incredible resources to help you along the way. We'll see you next time on Create Your Now, Your Best Selfie. And remember, always be sure you consult your physician before beginning any health and fitness plan.